All right, so today we're doing a little bit different style video. I've got Paul Montroy here with me, a good friend of mine since 2018. Yeah, about there. Yeah. We're going to be going over some of his first introductions into USPSA and getting some of the thoughts out and reactions to how those matches went and his opinions on the match, and hopefully it's good information for those of you that are just looking to get into the sport or just got into the sport, and hopefully still entertaining for those of you that have been in the sport for a while.
I'm very good at opinions, so hopefully it'll help somebody.
Perfect. So, getting right into it, your first match was Stand By the Fly in 2022.
Yep.
And
you're wearing the shirt.
Oh, I am. That was actually a complete accident. I have so many other Stand By the Fly shirts, I don't look at the year anymore. But
that was my first match, yes.
Yeah. So, first match ever. It's a level 2 match that we use as the main state championship. He jumped right into it. So,
yep.
Then your second match was the second May handgun rifle and pistol match of this year. So, 2026, 4 years later. And then you just shot Stand By the Fly again with us a week and a half ago now.
Roundabout.
So, we've been shooting together since 2018.
Yep.
We met at a veterans office range day for the college that we both went to.
Yep. And
I want to hear your thoughts on the differences in the style of shooting that we were used to and what we were doing since 2018, because we've been shooting together regularly since then.
Yep.
What are the differences that you see in the competition style shooting, playing the game, versus everything else we trained for as far as self-defense and the tactical background that we both have?
Yep. So my background with at least firearms, I grew up hunting, and especially coming from the People's Communist Republic of upstate New York, I grew up in a muzzleloader-only county, which means if you don't get your first shot, you're a terrible hunter, go home. So there's more of an emphasis on accuracy with that one, but also just 22 plinking, nothing particularly fancy, and not a lot of handgun exposure because, once again, upstate New York. Mm-hmm. Since moving to Maine, before I moved to Maine, I was technically in the Navy. I spent most of the time with Marines. I was with 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines as a corpsman. For the other corpsmen who are out there listening, grown-up babysitter. And so a lot of that featured...
Babysitting my kind.
His tribe. So I got a lot of weapons exposure there, but it's usually just military small arms, and as a designated non-combatant, I was not supposed to really be that familiar with machine guns, things like that. So some CQB stuff, but mostly just your, late GWAT infantry tactics. Moving up to Maine, where I could actually just go and buy firearms like a normal, proper American, which was so awesome. I did not get carried away at all. Don't look at my credit rating. After that...
I think they need more info for that.
In Maine, to buy a handgun, all you have to do is just be allowed to own a firearm. You don't need to go through years of background checks and permits.
And from a store, still be 21, but yes.
Well, yeah. Well, that's federal law. But anyway, getting more into handguns merely out of spite from where I came from, and then I also grew up watching, Shooting USA, stuff like that. So I'd seen actual formal shooting competitions a lot when I was younger and never really had the opportunity to get into it. So 2022 was my first time actually shooting it in an organized match with handguns. I did a couple of trap shoots when I worked at Trident, which was that was fun. And I'm more familiar with shotguns, just the background, wing hunt, waterfowl hunting, that sort of thing. So moving from, not really, just, kind of like FUD style hunting, bolt guns, shotguns, and then, military background. Going from that, where and they teach it a lot in also hunter safety, where muzzle awareness is you are always in line with the muzzle, where you always know where the firearm is pointed. So when I first started, getting exposed to like USPSA style shooting, and I'm watching people move backwards to engage targets behind them, and I'm seeing them like firearms being pointed in a safe direction in the context of the actual sport, but then from my perspective, where they're just pointing a gun over their shoulder.
Yeah. You're not watching where that muzzle is. It's in the safe direction within the 180-degree rule.
However,
but you're throwing it over your shoulder. You're throwing it behind your back so that you can move faster. Yeah. It's very different than the hunter safety or military where you're going to...
Yeah.
I forget the term for it, but just tuck the gun up and put it here.
And... so it makes sense in the context of the sport, but for like a different background, it does take some getting used to. And so seeing that, it took a while to process. There was a 4-year gap in between my first and my most recent matches.
Figured it out for your first year, although I don't remember you actually turning around and running your first year.
Oh no, he documented all of them. Thank you again. And it is hilarious. I was like the tactical turtle. I was also painfully out of shape. Still am.
I don't remember videoing that first year, but
you
possibly.
There is video evidence of almost every range there that he filmed, and I was like most people in their first match, constantly aware of where the muzzle is. My whole goal for the first match was don't get disqualified and look stupid, because I was also working for Dryden Armory at the time, and I didn't want to embarrass them. So I did not get disqualified, and I don't think I came in dead last either.
No, you did not. We have it written down.
Numbers.
168 out of 193 competitors for jumping into a level 2 match. That's by no means terrible. You beat people that had been shooting for way longer than you in USPSA.
Yep.
Not a diss on any of those people, but you do shoot well. And
I try.
You're older than me, but you're still younger than some.
Oh, I love arthritis. But yeah, it was a bit of a change, switching and it also with like self-defense, I carry daily, so for me, oh god, I try to work on those fundamentals a lot more, which combat training, personal defense, things like that, you don't really have the scene laid out. Nobody has the luxury of that, and as anyone who's been in the military knows, no plan survives first contact. So as I'm watching the stage, and for new shooters who are also had the same kind of reservations that I did, all the stages are eternally going to be different. Like there's almost no guarantee that something will be the exact same each time. So when they're mapping out,
as far as between like the stage you're on and the next stage, because it should be the same for every competitor doing the same stage.
Well, same stage, yes, but okay. So, say like you're going in, it's like your first match, and you start in like Bay 3 or something. The way that they have Bay 3 set up, and that particular stage, it's going to be, that's like the one time it's going to be set up that way.
Yep.
For the most part.
Yeah, even if you try to set it up the same the following week, it's going to be more than likely slightly different.
Yep. So that is good for new shooters to be aware of, because, and as I was thinking about it for a while, it's like, there was a lot of people like rehearsing and they're mapping everything out in their head, which is good. And one of the barriers for me was like, all right, well, you're going to ingrain in certain habits, which might be detrimental, especially for like, combative shooting or personal defense scenarios. But one of the good skills to come from that is you can still draw under fire and you're still shooting under time for score. So there is a little bit of the stress factor, but you're not going to be rehearsing this stage so much that it becomes so much muscle memory that down the line, if something were to happen, then you default to that stage. You get 4 minutes to kind of do your run through, and then you shoot it, and that's it. The stage is done.
Brain up.
And then you just retain the skills and get your reps in, and you're not going to get like so brainwashed, I'm up, they see me, I'm down style of stuff, thinking, where it could potentially have a negative impact on your skills or your thought process. So there's definitely a lot of good things to come from it. It's just if your background is very limited or very specific, don't go into your first match taking it so seriously that you got to compete with the people with thousands of dollars of gear and they wear like condom suits and spandex and shit.
It's
jerseys.
Yeah, that's a word for it. So my interpretation of that is the walkthrough should be taking a skill that you already have, a specific skill, and placing where you're going to use that skill into the stage, not using that one run through of that exact stage as your, like, this is how I'm going to treat every scenario.
Yep.
That kind of thing. It's taking skills that you already have and turning it into something you can use to do better at the game.
Yep. And thinking of it as... There's two ways to look at it. You can think of it as a game or a sport, as I was thinking of it, where if you're treating it like I do, mostly as a game, it's going to be I'm competing against my previous scores, in which case I don't have that many, but not getting disqualified is pretty much the big one. But when you start getting more involved with it and you can start thinking of it as a sport, that's when you're more concerned about other competitors. You're checking practice score every 15 minutes when you're running your range because you're wondering where your standing is.
Or seeing how badly you actually shot, as I did this past match.
I don't even know when I'm shooting badly or doing good. It's like I made it through. I engaged all the targets, or most of them. And, pause for shame.
Well, this match was a lot of failure to shoot at penalties because it was a very challenging match. So you weren't the only one. I mean,
no, but one of the good ways to like really get enthusiastic is like, all right, well, I could actually do better the next time. And you get that little click in your head. You're like, well, damn it, there's another spending line for a hobby.
For those of us that have the natural competitive drive, that having an actual reason to be competitive and having that challenge is, at least in my opinion, very intriguing. Intriguing. Intriguing is not a word.
It could be. You just need to make
Webster's make it a word.
You just need to put it on morale patch. Tactical giraffe patch is coming soon.
At some point.
I'm getting the first one. I call it dibs.
We have different definitions of soon, I think. But yeah.
We do. But I got dibs on the first one. It's noted.
That's
Hades,
fair.
You heard this.
It is now documented.
Yep.
So, that first year going into Stand By to Fly, where it's your first match ever, we've already talked about it, your really only goal was don't get disqualified. For the embarrassment reasons, and you were representing the store that you worked for that is the, not title sponsor, but one of the main sponsors of that event.
Their logo's always the biggest font on the jerseys, usually.
You can probably read it.
I could probably read.
You're not the jarhead, so you can actually read.
Yeah.
So, before you went into that first year Stand By to Fly.
Yep.
Other than the don't get disqualified thought,
yep.
What were your thoughts about, like, what do you need to do at the match? What do you need to bring? Like, what were you thinking going into it?
So, that year I had a kind of like your typical Molly battle belt looking thing, like most anybody who ever LARPs around in mom's basement or was in the military kind of know what I'm talking about. And there's actually a lot of very, very, very good shooters that still run those.
Those are not mutually exclusive. You can still be former military and LARP in your mom's basement. Or your own basement.
You have a basement. I got a lot of woods to run around in. But I can actually see at night now. So that means I can run into trees with a lot of collateral damage. So I had an old Molly belt. I had kind of like a speed or competition style holster that Jake from Trident gave to me. I think it was like 5.11 dual mag pouch for handguns and like an IFAK on the back, like a total former corpsman nerd. So the gear was very much cobbled together, I'm looking at, actual like well-funded, sponsored shooters with hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of gear that's very precise, and all the mag holders are at certain angles because that shaves like 1 millisecond off their reload time. And nobody looked down on me, made fun of me. Everyone, for the most part, was very welcoming. It was obvious it was my first match, but nobody was, condemning me like, oh, look at the guy pretending he was in the military, because I had long hair at the time and still do.
You don't necessarily look like a vet, but...
No, I don't. But, so I was running a 19X that I just carried every day at work that I was the most familiar with. And it was just factory everything, because I figure, well, I'm going to get some good reps in with what I carry most of the time. And I was aware that they have safe tables where there is no ammo, and that is where the gun comes out of the holster unless you're on the firing line. So I had like the top 3 or 4 big rules of USPSA I was aware of, and beyond that, it was like, I didn't know that if you're on deck in your squad, then you're not supposed. You can. It's just like, it's accepted that that's your
You're
last.
Not resetting the stage.
Yeah, you're not helping reset the stage, and then after you're done shooting, then you like reset your gear, and then you jump in to help after that. Like, I'm looking around like, I don't want to put pasties on anything because I don't know if it's been graded yet, and I don't want to dick up somebody's score. I didn't know precisely about like moving with a firearm in that new context where, for combat marksmanship, CQB, you do your best not to flag anybody, but at the same time, if you're like in a stack clearing rooms, it's going to happen, unfortunately, and everyone's just a grown-up about it, and there's usually a corpsman there to, put somebody's teeth back in their head. And here, if you break 180, it's a disqualifier, which, and as per, ominous dominus USPSA, the sport or the game, depending on how you look at it, that is completely appropriate. So I'm looking at this whole new shooting world like, I am a foreigner in a strange land, and I really don't want to screw up, and just... This is going to be embarrassing, and it's going to be a long day, because it was how many days? It was like...
12 stages. So it was 12 days, 12 stages.
High heat, high humidity.
Yep, that year was worse than this year.
It was a soggy, sweaty year.
Yeah.
And so, going into it, that was the gear, kind of the mindset going in of like, well, I'm just going to shoot for accuracy, I'll work on speed. Maybe as I'm watching like nimble young rubber people with, collagen between their joints and cartilage and shit like that, young people. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not comfortable doing that. And once again, for the most part, nobody made fun of me for it. I was not made to feel bad that I wasn't trying, for the most part, trying harder. It was just, welcome to the sport. Thank you for being here. And it was really, really cool. But at the same time, with the staff shoot for this last match, and then also with the Hamden one that I shot before that, generally if you're new to it, and depending on the squad you're in, there's usually going to be some kind of like guiding guardian angel that will give you a little bit more tips. I didn't really have that the first time. It was
the first time, that was my first USPSA match ever as well.
So
I shot one steel challenge match, and I'd done a couple of practices before that, so I wasn't able to help you out like I did this year and at both matches.
But then there was other people in the staff squad that we had a couple of newer shooters, newer than me even, and for the most
first year.
No, this last one.
Okay.
Dan Feldman kind of adopted that one kid who was running that super expensive SIG. So there is a lot of knowledgeable people, and they can be very generous with their time and their knowledge. And
most of them are going to be. A wide majority of people have zero reservations about helping out new shooters. Even if you squad with someone that you're not friends with already, then it is very common for people to give you solicited and unsolicited advice. Sometimes the advice will be unsolicited because it's just like, hey, why are you doing it this way? You might want to do it that way. And if you don't want that advice, just let them know. And most people will be respectful about that. And if you want help, don't hesitate to ask. Because if you ask about, can I do this? Can I do that? someone there is going to know the answer. And if the people in your squad don't know, ask your range officer, because they will know the answer, or they'll know who to go find to get you the answer.
If it is your first ever official match, can somebody coach you while you're shooting?
To an extent. At level 2 and level 3 matches, no.
But
while you're shooting, no. But when you're not under the range officer's command for your course of fire, they can coach you during the walkthrough. They can coach you when you're the one on deck. They can absolutely help you out. They can't be telling you, like, hey, go shoot that target over there,
yeah,
or anything like that during your course of fire, or hey, you missed one. Like, that's not allowed.
Yeah. But if it's your first match, depending on the situation...
Level 1 matches, this is not exactly what the rules say, but my remembering of it without looking it up is that you can ask to be a coached shooter and get help. I do believe, and this is not gospel, I do believe that means you shoot the match for no score, or at least that stage if you're getting like that kind of coaching. But you can still shoot the match.
Yeah.
But I do believe if you get that kind of coaching, it is for no score.
So for new shooters, like brandy new, and you're there completely alone, you won't actually be alone. You might not get a score, but if it's your first match, like I said earlier, then don't worry about it.
And if you want to find out if I'm right or not, go read the rule book.
At USPSA.org. USPSA.org.
It's a long rule book, but most options to look at it have the search function, and if you search coaching, that should bring you to that rule. Or one of the not many rules that involve coaching, but usually there's a little forward button to the next time it says coaching, and you'll find it if you look, and if you have questions, comment, and I will actually find the actual rule and give you a reference to it. But I'm definitely not plugging more engagement on the channel.
So that was my first match. That was, I don't know, I just kind of data dumped my brain on just the gear going into it. What else was there?
So you obviously just used what you already had.
Yep.
Which, if you've watched any of my previous videos that I talk about getting into the sport, just start with what you have. Don't go buy a bunch of stuff just to get into it, because you might realize you wasted money on something, or that you already had something that worked, or you might decide on doing something different instead. So start with what you have. But when you got to the match and watching over the course of the weekend, staffing, where there are some very high-level competitors, and there are people that have at least been doing it for a lot longer and have the same stuff as the high-level competitors despite their level. Did that experience interest you in buying new stuff? And I'm assuming for your first match that it really didn't, because you didn't shoot for 4 years. But did you see anything that you were like, all right, that makes sense? And was there anything that was just kind of like, I never would have thought of that? And did the experience and the actual being at that event give you any thoughts on the gear and the stuff that people are using that are, it's a sport or a game, whatever you want to call it? It's kind of like your thoughts on that, and we'll just kind of roll into like your thoughts on the game or sport in general.
Sounds good. Admin pause. There, now we know it. Anyway, and we're back.
After the admin break, so we've gone into the gear and the competitors.
Yep.
At least almost all the way. The game, or sport. I call it a sport. He likes to call it a game. Whatever you want to call it, it's the same fucking thing. There's my first F-bomb.
Well done. He's never sworn before. This is his first time saying it.
Comment if you've heard me say worse. So, as far as the sport goes, your thoughts on how the sport goes and how you wanted to go into it, if you even cared about going into the sport aspect of it, and what your thoughts were based off of how everyone else was treating it.
Yep. So, every match that I've shot, all three of them, I know, all three, they were all quite a bit of fun. The standby to fly ones, the only thing is there's no control over the weather, and I have undocumented heat injuries, and so I'm just sweating like a stuck pig the whole time. But it was still fun. You're sponsored by like one of those grip chalk people. That is surprisingly handy.
The Chocolate Grip is one of our sponsors, yes.
Shameless plug. If you're out competing and you're thinking about like what is some useful gear, if you're competing during the summertime, yeah, it would probably be a safety issue, a safety consideration. Find something to maintain the grip because that was a slimy day. It was a very slimy day.
So there's a lot of options. You shoot a Glock, so they're slippery in general.
Like seals, they're slippery when wet.
There are a number of options out there to make it so you can keep a grip on a firearm, and there are some that it doesn't matter. You will have a grip on the gun no matter what, based off of the grip texture that the company provides, or aftermarket grip panels, or like I use the Chocolate Grip. There's Pro Grip. There's all sorts of other chalk options. You can use actual chalk, but
a lot of the grips are made out of things like pumice, which actually grips you, not the other way around.
Is that what G10 is?
I think so. Either that or they use endangered coral reefs from the Great Barrier Reef.
That's what it feels like.
That's why they're so expensive.
That's not true. Okay.
The sport itself, though, it's I've been enjoying it, actually. I'm starting to get a little bit more into it. I did have a 4-year pause because my outside of the USPSA life had a lot going on, and I just trying to...
Time and money.
Time, money, yeah. That's one of the best excuses ever, actually. But also, I didn't get the bug quite like you did. At least not initially. I'm starting to. It's kind of like I'm getting like the slow outbreak, where you got like the Ebola version, like all up front. I'm starting to get like that. It's like arthritis. It starts out slow, and
I got bit in the first couple days of the apocalypse.
Yeah, I'm on like season 14 or 15 or whatever. One of the spin-offs of The Walking Dead. I'm catching up. Yeah, but it has been very enjoyable. Even like some of the competitive shooters that I've just been exposed to and just like listened to and talked to a little bit, and these are people that have, movie deals and their own training companies and.
I'll say that one. I wouldn't say movie deals, but.
Well, no, that's right. I know what you mean now.
Yes.
They train actors at least. Or they act like they do. There's no classification of shooter that has really been critical or arrogant in any way. Everyone's been very, very humble about it and very, open with the advice. It's been very fun in that regard. So it's more encouraging for me to want to get more into it, knowing that there isn't so much of an accepted ego level. There will always be, in your squad, there's probably going to be always one person who takes it very, very seriously.
There's always that person
Yeah.
in anything you ever do in life, but by no means are they the majority of this sport.
No. The one time I was actually exposed to somebody who did have, just took it way too seriously and wanted everyone to just really be competitive and try the absolute hardest, that was the outlier. Everybody who shot better than him, which was damn near everybody, that he was the outlier. His behavior, his tone, the way he spoke to me a couple of times, which was only literally 2 times out of an entire day. So it was minimal exposure, but it was enough to still leave a little bit of an impression. That was not condoned or general behavior. It was kind of ignored. And the couple other people in my squad that more or less helped me along, you included, even though we were both
Yeah, I'd say we were both new at that point, but I was trying to help you, yes.
Yeah. Because also, you had more familiarity with handguns than I did at the time, especially. Just life exposure. So for that...
Handguns have always been the thing I focused on.
Yeah. I always really liked shotguns. I was good with that, but,
Yeah.
wing hunting as a kid.
Yeah.
That and bragging rights when you outshoot your dad. That's pretty cool.
I'll leave your dad out of this.
My dad's a hell of a shot. But the sport's been very welcoming for new shooters. I would say there's definitely a spot for it. There's no reason not to give it a try. I'm going to avoid the pun that just popped into my head. God, dad jokes. I don't even have kids. I have an orange cat, which is damn near the same. No, the scoring is a little bizarre, but I've never lost a second of sleep over the scoring. No. And then for classificate, like what firearm you're using, whatever gun you may already have, you can use it. It just you might need a Sherpa to guide you into, like, am I shooting limited? Am I shooting open?
The division you shoot, yeah.
Am I shooting revolver when I have a Glock 19?
I hope no one listening to this is saying yes. But there is a division for almost every gun out there. There might be a couple of exceptions. Actually, there was a conversation I had last night. No, a Derringer is not going to fit in any of the divisions. Plus, you will end up flagging yourself, so don't even try that one, and no one wants to sit there and watch you reload 2 barrels every target. So
the competition focuses on firearms that are useful and functional and practical.
Including a revolver.
Ow. What if I show up with a tourist judge and I'm shooting like 410 birdshot?
You can't use birdshot, but
it shoots 45 Colt.
So if you shoot 45 Colt, that's allowed in revolver division.
See, there's something for everybody.
I did just get challenged to shoot an entire match with a 500 Smith & Wesson.
Besides the obvious finances and excruciating pain.
Gun and ammo are going to be paid for, so that video will come out at some point as long as the club will allow it, because I have questions on if the steel is going to be okay.
Do you need a medical person there to be there? Can I be there anyway to laugh?
You can absolutely be there to laugh.
All right.
Thank you. We'll see how that goes. Ammo is going to be supplied. Gun will be supplied. Holster and rig will be supplied. It's just a dare from a buddy with too much money and time on his hands. So
I think I know who you're talking about.
I think you do. But that will potentially be coming out end of the year or beginning of next year if you guys keep watching and supporting this channel. It keeps going. So
it's best if he does it when it's cold out, because that way when his grip slips and a barrel smacks him in the face, he's going to be so numb he'll be in less pain for me to deal with later.
It'd be a good video for a DQ, but I think people want to see the whole match, and that would be a DQ.
I will shoot that match. I want to keep doing this sport.
Yeah.
I have a very mild case of USPSA-itis. Yep.
That is a term I will start using.
Yep. The only side effects is your credit card will potentially hate you.
Depends on how financially literate you are. But, yes. So, speaking of you getting more attracted to shooting more matches and interested in doing more with it, other than me harassing you for the 4 years of the break that you took, you did shoot the one local monthly match before Stand By to Fly this year.
That was a lot of fun.
Was there any different thought process going into that match, or was it generally the same concept as you went into Stand By to Fly the first time around in 2022 with, where you were just like, all right, still don't get disqualified, try to shoot all the targets? Was there any different thought process?
Yes, actually. So this time around, like, I had secondhand exposure to the sport and the game, either or, from this esteemed individual. So I was picking up a lot of knowledge along the way.
Esteemed individual, no.
Well, you could identify as that. People can be whatever they want these days.
I can identify as a lot of things that I don't choose to.
over the previous gap, over the 4-year gap, I did actually hear a lot about it, and I've been watching his just. You've gotten to be quite successful with this whole thing. I'm very proud of you for that. It's been a good hobby.
The YouTube thing or the USPSA thing? Because YouTube has not been successful yet.
No, we're working on that. No, the actual like shooting competition. That was actually really cool.
Getting there.
Yeah. No, you're doing a hell of a lot better than me. You've got like he has trophies. There, I see 2 individual. They're not the. He didn't like make a copy. They're different. Mm-hmm. So he's actually like one thing.
If you want to see the trophies, you go and watch my first 4 years of USPSA videos where I have pictures on there.
Mm-hmm. So, because of over your success in this and your rise in the sport, I have been exposed to it. You've told me about it. I have actually listened, believe it or not, though sometimes it seemed like I wasn't because I sometimes detach. It's a side effect of being hit on the head too many times. But, so going into the Hamden match, still don't get disqualified, don't make an ass of yourself, don't flag anybody, the usual shit. But, listening to you talk about the matches that you've been to, a lot of the different, just like learning about how I can do things a little bit better, watching a lot of the videos, like, all right, so now I'm going to try to move a little bit faster. I still don't shoot and move a handgun at the same time particularly well or fast. But I've gotten to where I will have what I feel is positive control of the firearm while I move in between individual spots where I shoot from. Watching me shoot a stage versus like somebody who's actually good, they will almost be continually moving and shooting at the same time, whereas I will move to a firing position, fire, I will go from transporting, like moving with a firearm under control that I feel comfortable with, and then presenting on the target, firing, and then kind of resetting to the next one. I was doing that quicker. I don't think I was really like shooting and physically moving at the same time. In this standby to fly a little bit. There were a couple times.
Maybe a couple of times you started to start shifting on a couple of targets, but
I was starting to get like move and shoot curious.
Yeah. To be honest, also, and I don't think we've actually talked about this one, there are multiple different shooting styles, and there are people that shoot phenomenally on the move, and they just keep moving the entire stage, and they almost never stop fully, but there are also people that they just, when they get to that spot, they shoot so quickly that it doesn't really matter, and then they can do just the sprint to that next position.
Yep.
And it's all figuring out what works best for you in your shooting style. Because there are options. That's part of the game. The scoring is points divided by time. We don't care how you get all those points. We don't care how you get to that time. Yep. It's just, those are the 2 metrics you're using to get the hit factor. And then the hit factor translates into match points if you start caring about your overall match result. But as far as getting into it and your first couple of matches, I don't think you had any delusions of winning the entire match by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, goodness, no.
But it's just, don't completely suck.
Yeah.
And don't do anything that gets you disqualified.
Yeah, there wasn't going to be like a Disney highlight reel where all of a sudden the prodigy rises and I somehow win. None of that horse shit.
You're not JBL.
So, yeah, kind of like reflecting on the last 3 matches though, moving in between in my head, I kind of just think of like firing positions, moving in between them quicker. But then during the standby to fly match, I was like, okay, so there are some stages where, like, okay, I think I can comfortably engage these targets while physically moving. If I completely miss, whatever. But it was more or less like an experiment, and I don't have the ability really to practice at my home range because of just logistics. But it's like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and I didn't do tragically embarrassing on that, and I did actually...
You didn't come in last.
I didn't come in last, and I didn't get disqualified.
This year it was 203 or 206, depending on the app you look at. I don't know why they're different off the top of my head.
Me neither.
Out of 225, so still not last. You're you took 4 years off of the sport.
Yeah, that too.
And again, you're not what I would call a handgun shooter.
Not naturally, no. A lot of that was just the upbringing and the exposure.
So this was not in our prep work at all.
We did have to prepare extensively for this.
Where you're not a handgun shooter, why have you not considered shooting PCC? Other than the fact I don't think you own one.
I don't own one. I need to maintain an old truck. I need to fix my garage.
Okay, you can borrow mine.
Finish my house. I've been looking at Owens Corning fiberglass insulation paper backing for my wallpaper for 6 years now. I have no excuse why I don't have a PCC.
Well, but would you be interested in shooting PCC where you're already a more comfortable rifle shooter if the PCC is provided and you're still just shooting 9mm ammo? And I know you have the mags because you were shooting a Glock.
Everything runs on Glock mags.
Most of them, yeah.
No, I absolutely would try PCC. It seems very interesting. It's more familiar physically, but to me, just with my formal firearm training,
the movement would be very interesting.
The movement would take a lot more getting used to.
Yeah.
Because for
manipulating a rifle around walls is
a
little more challenging, and then the uprange movement can be drastically different.
So for like people who are curious about this, who are thinking like all pistol caliber carbine, that really is an excellent option. It does require a few more just very explicit safety steps during the match itself. You don't need to drop a flag into your handgun, for instance. At the same time, I'm also still a little bit hardwired moving with a carbine, like we were, keeping it down, but also the same way that we were taught when we were in the service, where I'm a little bit nervous where if there's a target behind me and I have to physically move backwards, there's the possibility that my brain will just
point it down, turn.
I'm going to move like we were taught, default to that, and then there I am like, well, shit, I'm a moron.
Yeah.
And, just sticking the whole thing over my shoulder. It's physically easier to maneuver a handgun with this. You can absolutely hit the farther out targets a lot quicker and easier, though. I would try PCC. I'm PCC curious.
I do like that you just said that. A lot of this is not scripted. If you haven't been picking up on that, we have a outline, but it's by no means scripted.
I cannot be scripted. I'm too fucking dumb. But
okay,
it could be a lot of fun. I would definitely try that. Let me know when the next Hamden match is. I'll give it a try.
Yeah. I have one 33-round stick for it, and
I've got something in a bucket somewhere that
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
we can figure that out. In most stages, you won't need more than one.
If you hate reloading, shoot PCC.
Or open. But open costs a lot more.
Oh, it does. You always know who's shooting open in the next bay because they test your hero.
A true open gun, yes. You can shoot open with a P365 with a comp or a ported Glock. You're in open then, but that's also not anything to be concerning yourself with when you're starting. However, if that's your carry gun and that's what you're starting with, just you're registering as open, and who cares? Just go have fun, shoot the match anyway.
Make sure you have your ear pro with that shit.
Yeah, anything ported in comp, you want ear pro, and you have to have ear pro anyway to shoot this sport, and eye pro. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to shoot, and I don't know of any public range that is going to let you on the range without them anyway. So that really brings me to the end of the first section here.
Yep.
Now you have your match videos on your phone.
I got a couple of them. Yeah, we can make fun of how slow and fat I am.
So we can do that.
Yeah.
And get the reactions and kind of at least some video footage on there.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap this up and get everyone on their way.
Stand by.
If you are finished, unload and show clear. Stand by.
Positivity.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. If you're
my muscle is to go down, but then if I spin, it's not. So I'm. I think I can do it.
Anyway.
all right. So, watching through those match videos, which I'm hoping I can actually find the first year you did Stand By to Fly.
I'll send you the more flattering ones.
I don't think that's the word, but
when you look like me, you really need to find the flattering ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you go through the stages in you do all the USPSA safety rules.
Yep.
You are going through in a very deliberate manner and doing what you are capable of doing.
Yep.
It's not like any of you can go and look on YouTube or Instagram or whatever social media you use and find a lot more athletic performances, I would say. And it's not that you aren't capable. I know you're older than me.
As with any new kind of activity or an endeavor, it's not so much, and professionally we had the same experience with like new shooters, people getting into firearms, and they have this mentality, I can't, operate the slide on a semi, so I should get a revolver. We both know it's not necessarily a skill or a knowledge issue. It's just you are applying muscle groups and new movements in new ways. It's a strength.
So it is a skill thing.
It's skill and training.
But it's something that you can overcome. It's not that you aren't capable.
Yep. It's skill.
Capable is the word.
It's skill and training, not knowledge deficit. Yeah. So for me, with just moving through physically the stages, like I'm not going to say my accuracy was particularly anything. I did not come in first in anything, but I had a greater than 50% ratio of alphas to everything else. Accuracy is not.
You shot about 2/3 alphas, and then the rest were Charlies, deltas, and you had a handful of mics. And some of the some of the mics came because you forgot the targets. So that's not an accuracy issue. That was a stage planning.
Yeah, that's a personal issue,
and that is part of the game.
Yeah,
and part of that is because you don't necessarily enjoy doing the walkthroughs.
I always bump into people, and I feel like I'm screwing up people who are better than me at this, and it's embarrassing.
That's one perk of me. I can do my walkthrough and put my arm over the person walking in front of me, so I don't bump them.
Pat on the head.
But that's
So it's a mix of I feel like I'm underfoot half the time, and the other half is I do kind of like the improvising part because it still kind of goes back to like no plan is perfect, no plan stays intact after the first shot's fired. So I'm not looking at the stage so much. Like yes, if I feel like as I hear the stage brief and I'm watching people go through it, if there's a spot like a movement specifically to engage another target where I feel like I'm going to default to prior training and therefore have a sport like break a rule in the sport, then I'm going to do a little bit more. I want to start breaking a little bit of that habit because I want to be a little bit more successful in this sport. So I will do a few more walkthroughs if I feel like there's definitely a spot where I feel like I'm going to default and screw up according to USPSA guidelines, but not necessarily in a personal defense setting. I want to get some good practice in with a carry firearm, but at the same time, I don't want to flag anybody. So I will do, I have been doing a few more walkthroughs because now also it's like, all right, I'm trying to move a little bit quicker. I'm trying to shoot a little bit faster as well. It's just been very incremental, which that's the way to do it. You're not going to shoot one match the way I did at Tactical Turtle Speed, and then the next match all of a sudden I'm Terrence Snactical or someone.
Tactical Turtle, Tactical Giraffe.
Yeah. So it's like what match? So the next match I think that I'm going to shoot, the first one was just don't get disqualified.
Yep.
Second one, don't get disqualified, don't come in last. This latest one. Actually, I tried to move quicker in between stations. I was still defaulting to kind of like the trained grip, the same trained firing position, the same stance. So the body mechanics are not the most efficient for the sport, but they're what was trained to me for better accuracy. The accuracy wasn't so much the issue, it was just the time overall. Because
as far as score goes, yeah.
As far as the score goes.
It didn't affect you having fun.
It didn't
affect you completing the match because you did complete the match.
Yeah.
And there's no issue with starting there. And where you've only shot 3 matches, and 2 of them were definitely complex matches that are challenging. And this year's Stand By to Fly was very challenging, even for higher level shooters. Like the stages were a lot more complex this year.
A lot of people, and I'm a hermit.
However, the monthly match that we did a month and a half ago-ish now, like those stages weren't that complex. They weren't that crazy.
But also for new shooters, that was brilliant because how many shooters were there total? 30.
We usually do between 25 and 50. 50 would be at capacity. So I think it's usually 25 to 40 would be.
Yep. So it's not an all-day event. There's smaller squads. Things move a lot quicker.
So we're out of there by 9, or we're starting at 9, out of there by noon to 1 typically.
Yeah. So for a newer shooter, especially if you just like and so that was kind of like my welcome back match. My first one was just like, so the welcome back match that was actually perfect because it was the weather you can't control, but the weather was ideal. But it was also smaller groups. I'm fairly reclusive. I'm kind of a professional hermit, to be honest. So it was smaller squads. It was smaller stages. And overall, there was just a lot less.
So, actually, the squads weren't smaller. The squads were the same size as our staff squad.
They might have felt smaller just because there weren't...
there wasn't as many people out there. And there was a lot of things that contribute to it feeling smaller.
So for
technically, the squads were about the same size as our staff squad was.
Yep. But for someone
less
like
stages, less cost of ammo.
Yeah.
The match doesn't cost as much. We were staff, so we didn't pay for the match fee to begin with because we were staffing.
Yep.
But drastically less cost overall.
Yep.
And a lot less time investment to go to just a local monthly match. And there are a lot more accommodations made for people just getting into the sport or just coming back to the sport.
Yeah.
In a monthly level 1 club match.
That was an excellent welcome back because it was a lot less overwhelming. Like I was saying, I'm kind of a professional hermit. So if there's like there's just a certain level of humanity where I kind of just like, time to go home.
Mhm.
And so the welcome back match was a good, like, easing back into it, but also just from the social aspect, there wasn't that many people. There wasn't that many physical bays moving, so it's not like I'm having to walk a quarter mile to the next station as well.
That's part of just our range, but yeah.
Well, that's, uncontrollable, but from just people who are curious, like, do I really want to get involved in this, like, this 12 bay match coming up, and there's going to be hundreds of people, and it's going to be a shit ton of noise, and I have no clue what I'm doing. If it's a local match like what you had hosted...
And even that match,
yeah.
you brought your girlfriend out. And, like, there are spectators that are not participating in the match. They're not overwhelmed with, like, I'm dedicating a whole day to something I'm not participating in.
Yeah.
They can still come and observe and have the social aspect if they are so inclined, unlike you. But
it's a fair point.
They can have the social aspect, and I know
there's always bathrooms. There's indoor bathrooms.
There are not always bathrooms. At most matches, there are bathrooms.
That's important for the decumbent urinators.
I might cut that out, but
no, please don't. It's a scientific word.
You are correct.
It is.
But
it's very accommodating to new shooters and also anybody who might be coming along to just observe.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend had a wonderful time, and when I told her later that, my first match was a bit overwhelming and a bit confusing, but I'm starting to figure it out, and it was actually a little bit of fun. She was very encouraging that I do it more, which probably in hindsight is her underhanded way of saying, get out of the house and get a hobby.
And she doesn't even live with you yet.
No, she doesn't. She bought a bunch of chickens for me to raise, but beyond that...
That was your fault for giving her access to the order.
I accept my responsibility in this.
You're not complaining.
No, except for Brahmas are fucking dumb. So that breed of chicken, they're big.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
That was pretty much all that I had on the table for us to really discuss. The only thing that we kind of already alluded to is that you are interested in shooting other matches.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I would ask, is it going to be strictly Stand By to Fly because of what that match is? And I know it means at least a bit to both of us, where we are supporting other veterans in the state of Maine, and we both have connections to that match outside of our interest in shooting for competition or shooting in general.
Well, that was
our
first match too.
Yeah, there are reasons to support that event in general outside of shooting entirely. But at this point where you've shot 3 matches now, you have shot 1 club match and 2 of the Stand By to Fly matches. Is there more interest, and we've kind of already gone into it, but is there more interest in getting more into it? And are you planning on getting into it if you're going to, which we, again, already elaborated to. Are you going to get into it from still your same side of thinking as far as, I'm going to shoot what I have. I'm going to continue to build the skills with what I already have and what I use normally? Or are you going to potentially play the game and
I'm going to try
get
to
stuff, or like maybe not a gun, but like a belt rig that is dedicated for competition instead of a all-purpose belt?
I'm going to try to find a bit of the happy medium. Just, I don't know, just makes sense logistically speaking. Like the Mali web belt, battle belt setup, and there were definitely very competent shooters that were running those. I also don't, I happen to have that. I don't actually walk around my garden in a full kit. I think it'd be really cool, but no, I don't.
You could where you live.
I mean, I could, yeah. But at the same time, anyone who ever wore those professionally know they're kind of a wobbly, sweaty hunk of shit. So potentially, I actually do have a couple of handguns that I don't know. We're going to talk about that offline, but there's a couple of handguns I have that I don't know if they'll put me into a class where I'll suck more because people who shoot guns like that are always so much better than me. But I do have a couple of things I want to actually. I have a couple of guns I do want to use in competition that I don't carry or shoot regularly, but might improve the performance potentially. I still need to learn a lot, but gear-wise, I don't know if I would get a. Well, I actually do have something that would be considered a dedicated. What's the YouTube the gamer gun? Is that the word?
Yeah, I'll say that's a term. Yeah.
But the nice thing is the ones that I have are functionally clones of what I carry daily, so I wouldn't be having a dedicated competition gun. Would not actually be detrimental to any skills with my carry guns. They're all functionally the same. It's a Glock 34 that a GM ranked shooter had. He put it up for auction, and it was a charity thing, and I wound up with it. So I wouldn't be losing any skills. They'd be functionally the same. Same repetitions. It would just be like a longer slide, longer barrel, but doesn't matter. So I wouldn't, if anything, it would just be probably a more comfortable belt setup because also for new shooters, something to be aware of is that unless you're actually shooting or in the, what's the formal term?
The safe table?
Safe table.
Yep.
The firearm never leaves the holster, otherwise, you're done. So you wanted something to consider is at least personal comfort. First couple of matches, if you just have like something that threads into your belt, that's fine. But if you're going to get into it more, you're going to be in some of these bigger matches. You're going to be
an all-day match.
You're going to be wearing that shit all day, and you're not. If you're also a veteran thinking about this, you don't need to wear crappy gear all day just because you're told to by some moron CO who doesn't wear it himself. So I will probably...
One caveat on that. At the safe table, you can go over and take your gun off and put it in a bag when it's not your turn to go.
That is true.
That takes time because after your run, you have to go do that. And then you have to make sure that you have that done before it's your turn again. So it takes extra time. It's a consideration to think about, but you are allowed to take your gun off and put it back in a bag when you're walking around. And
for the sense,
I don't think I did it on staff day.
No, I don't think
not
anybody
this time,
did.
but there was even a shooter on. It doesn't matter. I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but there was a shooter that he didn't want to walk around with his gun each day, and so he brought up a bagged gun to the line, and I gave him the make ready from the bag, which is allowed, and takes it out of the bag. He can have somebody else carry it for him. I had no issue carrying it for him anyway, so I was just like, look, I don't want people right behind me being ready to give me that bag for his gun based off of the stage we were working. So I was just like, look, I'll just tuck it under my arm and I'll bring it back up to you. That's perfectly acceptable.
But from personal comfort, I'd probably look into a different belt setup. Holsters for me don't really matter much. I mean, I carry concealed most of the time. I actually did the Hamden
the Hamden match you shot from concealed.
I shot from concealed, which I potentially might do more just because I like getting that practice in. But I'm also not going to appendix carry a Glock 34 and pretend I'm Ron Jeremy, so I will probably, if I'm going to shoot that more often, find a better holster.
Jesus. Okay. But
as for the rest of the gear, the magazines, they're all factory, they're all OEM Glock mags. I don't really see the need to have a 22 round Glock mag like the super long ones with like PCC and open.
Those are more than 22, but
well, that's also an extra spending line for someone who new to the sports. Like, and you see like people with all this gear, and there's this,
also part of why you chose limited.
Yeah.
Even shooting minor power factor, which
I'm enough of
if you don't know, just go read the appendixes, I believe, is where the power factors are. But the reason he chose limited with a production style gun was just so he could load the gun more than the capacity restriction for production division. The first year you shot, production was limited to a 10-round magazine capacity, and he wanted to just load it the whole way. You didn't have that many mags with you, I believe.
I could only carry 2 extra mags anyway.
Yeah, so not enough to shoot the full match with loaded to 10-round mags. Yeah. And then even this year, just to have the couple of mags that went to, 19 or 17? Whatever you're...
Yeah, maxed out at 19 because they were...
Yeah, plus 2 extensions on the 19X. So just to have those extra rounds just for his comfort and what he wanted to do, you can shoot a different division, and that's perfectly fine. And it doesn't make any difference as far as you being able to participate. And no one's going to really judge, especially if it's your first time getting into it or you're just starting and you're still trying to figure it out and you don't want to go invest all the money. You don't need to. So do what you have, use what you have.
Oh, absolutely.
And just play the game, and you'll figure out if you have the capacity to what you want to spend your money on at some point.
The first match I shot, it was our first match, and I'm seeing other shooters, and like the magazine alone, that one of them, like one magazine alone,
big open ones,
the big open mags are like $150 a piece, and for me, potentially getting into the sport, I'm looking at $150 one single line item as like that's a month and a half's worth of feed for the chickens. That's
a couple of tanks of gas at that time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Holy shit. So for someone who's considering this and you're looking at there's all the pressure of all the other people's gear, it's not necessary at all, and there is no judgment with it either. And it really is just, you will make of it what you want. For me, it has turned more into, can I just build on the firearm skills that I already have and get better with them, moving and shooting at the same time. And what's cool is now I've got a couple of matches where I have like numbers to work with. Like they keep track of like your alphas, your charlies, your deltas, the misses. And so now I have data to work with. I have actionable intelligence where I can look at a match and go, okay, I don't care what my ranking is because I'm never going to outshoot people who work for Beretta or Smith & Wesson. That doesn't matter to me. My ego died a long time ago. But my old numbers were, let's say I had like 75% alphas and the rest of it was just like fucking up. Maybe I can get 2 more alphas total, and that's a net gain. Or if I don't get the same alphas, but then I have more charlies and no misses. It's giving me feedback on skills as a practical shooter, while at the same time, I socialized.
That's an impressive skill for you.
I socialized. I talked to people.
Yes.
The two-legged hominids. It was a lot. But it was worth it. It was worth it. It was fun. And thank you for dragging me into it.
Good. I'm glad it took me harassing you to get you back out of your shell. So. All right. I think on that note, we are going to end this. I hope you all enjoyed this style of video, and I do have a few more options. If you do enjoy this, please drop it in the comments, and please let me know what you didn't like. It is only going to help me make these videos better. I hope y'all learned from a completely different perspective. Thank you, Doc.
Hey, you're welcome. Glad I can help. Support him. He needs it.
I hope we both see you on the ring soon.